Hey, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us for another one of today's Leeds Helpful Tips live streams. This is going to be one of our shorter live streams going over a specific feature on one of our microscope systems. And hopefully it's helpful for those that already have it or are considering it or don't even know about it and would like to learn more about it. So today's live stream is all about Leeds heads-up display. Or really, more accurately, our dual view system that you can see behind me. As part of the dual view system, and we'll go into it in a second, but we actually have a kind of a cool feature that is, it's basically a HUD. But we'll get into that in a second. As with all of our live streams, one of the neat things about doing live streams is it allows us to connect with people and do training in this type of way during COVID. But again, just as a heads up, this is absolutely a live stream. So sometimes things happen. And in fact, you can see that I'm not in my usual spot. I've actually moved into one of our quality control cubicles. So you might see people passing around in the background as we build these systems and try to get them ready to ship. If you have any questions or would like to discuss anything or just want to say hi, I guess, in the live stream, there's a chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you have any questions and comments and just want to put them in there, I'll be monitoring that during the live stream and see if you have anything and answer those questions as I see them. And again, if you have any thoughts on future live streams or requests, you can always email me at jkurth@leedsmicro.com, and we'll get it into our queue and address it when it comes up. Okay, enough of that. So, dual viewing and the HUD, as I promised. So, one of the things that comes up fairly frequently is the question about, I have some new trainees, I'm trying to train an examiner, or I just want to discuss what I'm seeing through the microscope with one of my coworkers. And that's really where the dual viewing system or dual observation system was designed and is used for. It's kind of interesting. Over the years, these cameras, and if you watch some of our earlier live streams, cameras are getting faster and faster, and actually the resolution keeps going up almost every couple of years. Where I think, if you watched Kevin's live stream, I think we're at 4K real time at 30 frames per second with our current revision of cameras. But the thing is, you're always going to miss a little bit of the peripherals. And if you think about it, it's because we're taking a circular optic, right? If you look through your microscope, it's round. And then what we try to do is we put a sensor on top of that for the camera, and it's square. So whenever you place a square object in a round hole, you're always going to cut some of the peripherals off. And so for those who are really trying to get a real-time image, trying to get the peripherals, trying to use and have a real-time discussion about what they're seeing on the comparison scope, while the cameras are really good today, there really is no beating a really good dual viewing or co-observation system. The system you have behind me is actually on one of our customers' systems. This unit, I don't know if you can see. Oh, you absolutely can. It doesn't even have the lights on it yet because we're in that process of quality control. And this just kind of shows that, people are still buying dual views today. So Leeds has a dual view available or co-observation system available on any of our comparison microscopes, be that a Leeds LCF3 like you see behind me, or our entire Discovery series of comparison scopes. What's kind of neat is that our dual views are fully integrated. And we've actually been intentional about building our dual view systems. So let's say you have an older scope out in the field, and you would like to be able to upgrade. There more than likely is an upgrade path to add a dual view to that existing scope. Big difference between this one and the Discovery system, it's the same concept. You have a main observer and a co-observer position, but the Discovery just has a little bit of extra features to it, but its operation's the same. And if we have any trace examiners joining us today, yes, we have dual view system available for our trace comparison scopes as well. So operation-wise, the dual view is fairly simple, fairly straightforward. And here's that HUD that I promised you. You have a little joystick. This is where the beam splitter is located. And I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in on it, bring that image into focus. So what we have here is the beam splitter. It's very straightforward. It's a dual view. So you have a beam splitter located here, and roughly, actually I believe it is 50% of any of the light that comes up from the bridge that hits the dual view is split off between the binocular and then the dual view attachment itself. And in this little beam splitter location, we have your HUD. And it's not as sophisticated as I'm making it sound. It really is just an arrow, but it is placed at a focal plane. And so what's neat about that is when you turn on this, you push it up to turn on the red light, you can't see it, but there's a little red LED pointer. And now you can move it around with this joystick. Similarly, you can flip it down to green, and this gives you a little green pointer that then you can move around with your joystick. There's also a rheostat on this side, which will allow you to change the intensity. But what's neat about it is if you have your eyepiece set correctly, so I know that my eyepiece on my right side is a -1, and then on my left side, I know that's also a -1. When my eyes are set up correctly, I can actually just look at my specimen. I can look through the display, this green arrow, and it will remain in focus and sharp. And what's neat about that is that's kind of that heads-up aspect, is because it really is at a focal plane, so you don't have to focus on the arrow. You can continue operating like you normally would, and then if you see something that's interesting and you want to say, hey, Zach, come here, take a look at this, you can actually just turn on the LED pointer, point at it, and then Zach can actually come over, dial in his eyepiece numbers, and then he'll be in focus as well and see all the features you're talking about. So it's pretty slick, pretty straightforward. You know, there's always the pros and cons with everything. The dual view system's really good for co-observation, for training, for having that discussion, but do know it's going to steal about 50% of your light. We got some ways that we can modify it. We have in the past for some of our customers where we've actually made a mod that turns off the dual viewing system when it's not in use. And then our Discovery system also has a feature like that as well. So yeah, that's the dual view. You can, 2 observers, simultaneous viewing, really good for discussion. And it's also, I mean, really great for training. If you've got any new trainees, I would highly recommend it. That's today's quick tips. I did say it was going to be a quick one. Again, I'm just going to take a look to see if we have any questions. We look pretty good. So then, yeah, please feel free to tune in next week. We'll have even more helpful tips. And I'm going to try to start making these helpful tip videos a little bit longer and a little more in depth. And hopefully we can cover some more interesting topics as well as just things on our comparison scopes. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm Jake with Leeds. Any questions, please feel free to email me at jkurth@leedsmicro.com.